bit shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, not great. Could have been better, I think, for your first proper post-match review in a while there,
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of expecting a little bit better from that first half, but I guess I kind of expected it wasn't going to be as easy as that. So
Yeah. Let's get right down to it. Episode 164. My name is Josh. I am joined as always by Adam. Craig is still out on parental duty. And we have got Paul from Stateside Seagulls on the show today, coming on to give his view on the game. First of all, Paul, how does it feel to be a man in such demand? I feel like I've seen your name just about everywhere lately.
I'm surprised I can even talk anymore. It's been crazy, but it's been good to get the word out. So
yeah, big time, right? I think it's nice to see that people are finally stepping up and taking notice of what is quite a large country full of full of potential Albion fans, if not full on Albion fans out there.
Absolutely.
I know that Craig spent his time with Chicago Seagulls watching today. And there seems to be more and more popping up everywhere. Adam, have you got some out there in Jersey?
Who knows? I mean, there'll probably be a couple in New York, but even though it's very close, I've been to Manhattan about twice in the last 2 years, I think. But I'm sure there's literally tens of us out here, isn't there? Must be some.
I think so. I think that there's a growing fan base up there, and especially I know there are quite a few people around Philly, so I know there's people in between you. But
there you go. I'm unfortunately just
not helpful in Jersey itself, though.
United fans. No, yeah. That's there's too many fans of the big. Well, I don't even know what it is anymore. Is it a big 4, big 6, big 8? I don't know. Big something.
Big who knows?
Yeah. There was 3 changes today from the team that we played at the weekend. Trossard back in the side. Thank goodness. I was hoping we'd see him. Bissouma back and McAllister back. We had Lallana step out, Lamptey step out, and I believe Welbeck was the other one that dropped off today. Funnily enough, 2 of those came on off the bench. Obviously, I've heard midweek or whatever that time is that the presser comes in. And Rangnick said that he wants to see more of United's nice face today because they can be a bit too much Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And that's, funnily enough, the most perfect description of what we watched today for the team in the blue and white stripes. So what was a pretty good first half went absolutely to tits in the second. Let's talk about the first half a little bit first, though. For the most part, I thought we did pretty well. There was an awful lot of half chances and not a great deal for United there either, other than the classic being caught on the break stuff. But they didn't look, hot take, that much more dangerous than Watford did at the weekend.
They weren't. They were crap. And that's what makes it even more galling with what happened in the second half. Especially when I'm not sure if you just said this. I'm still a little bit in shock of the 45 minutes of football that we watched in the second half. But because even Varane pulled out of the game for illness, an hour beforehand. So you're facing Maguire and Lindelof, which is a mouth-watering prospect for anyone that can half kick a football up front. We started with 4 at the back. I love to see that. That means we're going to be a direct, assertive. As you said, we had Mac come back in, Trossard come in. You got excited about it, and this idea that Lamptey could come in the second half, and then just give us a bit of a change of pace, literally and figuratively. But it just so happens that our entire team conspired to essentially try and give the ball to United in really opportune positions over and over again. I think it was Webster that was the biggest disaster 5 minutes in. And thankfully, Jadon Sancho's, since he's come back from Germany, he's forgotten how to play football. So that was fine. But there was just how many, and Trossard, I know we talked about, sorry, I'm going on a rant here. And Paul, definitely come and speak in a second because I'll shut up. We were really thankful for Trossard. This was the worst game Trossard's played in a while. I only played 45 minutes. He was terrible. Every touch, horrible. Every pass, horrible. Just an annoying way to lose. But we deserve to lose. You can't make that many mistakes against a side that has any half-decent player in it. Like Watford would have beaten us if we made that many mistakes.
Yeah, I think that's really the thing, was that the mistakes cost us. And we saw that in the second half. But, the first thought in my mind watching that first half was, are we the home team or with the MX? What's going on? Because Manchester United were trying to not let us score. And we were just dominating possession, dominating the ball. And it just felt like we were the home team at Old Trafford. And again, like we always do, couldn't take advantage. And it came back to bite us in the second half. Mistakes cost us. And, like you said, should have been at least a goal or two up in the first half. We weren't, and we deserved to lose with that second half performance.
Yeah. That first half, just to finish, but it really does need to be spoken about. We dominated them in just about every stat that matters, barring the main one, right? Like Alex has said in the chat, 45 minutes of domination undone in 90 seconds. Barring that Sancho chance, there really wasn't much going on for United, but there was a fair few chances for the Albion. One notable chance was Jakub Moder early on, very early on, maybe 3 minutes in, I think it was, because that was just before Sancho went promptly up the other end and also missed from a tight ankle. Adam said it in the chat to me in WhatsApp that by the law of averages, Moder is going to score eventually. How much closer can he get than today? He was unfortunately continuing to play Player of the Month De Gea from January, it seems, because he was in phenomenal form again today.
But De Gea was nowhere in the second half when he clattered it against the bar. What was it? Right towards the end, about 15 minutes to go, wasn't it? Hell of a shot. But there were 3 chances that Moder had right in this game where you went, probably could have scored that. There was end of the first half. We had that one where that wasn't his best chance. It was at a tight angle. De Gea saved it, and the better chance was the Basuma one that came 90 seconds after that, if you remember. And Basuma tried to side foot it into the far corner and just put it wide. And you just thought to yourself at that point, God, we have to put one of these away, or this could come back to bite us. But then he had that really incredible, powerful header in the second half, and that was the really good De Gea save. And then that shot against the bar. It's just, I think we talked about this in the last episode. De Gea came out and said, I think maybe someone's put a curse on that. I think someone's put a curse on Jakub Moder that he can't score. He's not allowed to score. But Potter's striving and contriving to get him to score. He's playing in that attacking midfielder spot ahead of McAllister. McAllister's playing deeper alongside Gross today. So he's in these positions to be able to put one of these away, and it's just unfortunate. It really was. Yeah,
it felt like, they mentioned it in the broadcast here, but it felt like kind of that Trossard hitting the post 3 times against United. It kind of felt like that for Moder today. It's just like wherever he put the ball, even if he got it past De Gea, it wasn't going to go in.
And we are, as you speak of, you make a good point there, is that I feel bad for our listeners in the UK right now, because you guys didn't have well, maybe I don't feel too bad. You didn't get to watch the game. Instead had to watch Mbappe's 94th minute winner against Real Madrid, if you had access to that. But yeah, it seems like no one in the UK could actually legally watch this game. Good or bad.
Yep, everybody was too busy with PSG and Real Madrid. I saw an awful lot of embarrassing tweets out there from United fans saying that they wouldn't choose to watch United anyway if they could watch PSG and Real Madrid. I guess
I didn't realize kids under 10 could tweet.
I guess the terms of services have become a lot more lax. But all that being said, because the first half was much better for us, but nothing really happened from it. The second half was where everything happened, all the action. Alex in the chat had to listen to Andy Townsend talk about how Brighton can't afford to get complacent, only for Basuma to give the ball 30 seconds later for the opening goal, which is perfectly timed, Alex, because that's where we're going next. United came out in that second half obviously galvanized to actually decide to press the ball for 5 minutes. And it turns out that's all they needed to do was press for 5 minutes to get that one goal. It was an absolute calamity of errors from the entire team for that first 5 minutes. It looked like nobody had any idea how to keep a ball at their feet and pass it to the person next to them in a blue and white striped shirt. It was really poor stuff all the way up until the goal. And obviously there was just a bunch of people that were not on great form. Bissouma had a horrible touch that ended up kind of ricocheting out over to Ronaldo. Great finish from Ronaldo. Don't get me wrong.
He's not a bad player, is he, that guy?
Yeah, I guess he's doing something right every now and again. Despite a lot of people on the old social medias thinking he's finished, he's clearly not quite yet. And from then on, it was just about 4 minutes of just utter disaster, wasn't it? We went 1-0 down, and 3 minutes later, Lewis Dunk is sent off. What did you make of the goal? What did you make of the sending off and the use of VAR during that as well?
Paul, I'll let you take this one because
I think that it was just again like everything that went right in the first half couldn't take advantage, and then it's going to come back to bite us in the butt, and it did. Obviously, it just seemed like we weren't on it in the second half. It really on it at all in terms of just being sloppy and letting passes get away from us. Bissouma really didn't have his best game, and it showed in that moment, especially where he just gave the ball away. And if you give Ronaldo a chance, he's probably going to take it. So obviously, giving United those opportunities to take the lead and not have us score, it's just really one of those situations where of course this is going to happen. It's just kind of par for the course, I guess. And then to add insult to injury, Dunk, and we'll get into it, I'm sure, but I don't know if that was necessarily a red card, but you can't be giving a foul away like that in that position either way. Even if it is just a yellow, it was just a sloppy foul. Just seemed like everybody kind of lost their heads in that 5 minutes, and that turned the game completely around. We had a chance, and that's just as quickly as it can go away for us.
I think you hit the nail on the head with the exact my thoughts as well on that. Is it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter if VAR wasn't used in the way it should be, which to the letter of the law is what is it? Clear and obvious error. Probably wasn't a clear and obvious error that it wasn't a red card, was it? Because Webster was lurking behind. He wasn't really the last man, so you could argue it too. But look, the point is, Dunk screwed up. He was lazy with a touch, got himself in a bad position, and said to himself, "Oh, call out here. I'm taking the man down. I'll take that tactical yellow card." And he got sent off. You just can't do that. Don't make the mistake. But it was just such a comedy of errors between the goal and the sending off. Like the Bissouma, what is Bissouma doing? He was hit with like a 2-3 man press and decides he's going to sort of dance out of it. Worst game I've seen from Bissouma in a while. To his high standards, even outside of that, he wasn't quite the same player as he has been in pretty much all other games that we've seen him in. If you listen to this podcast on the regular, you'll know that we always talk about this sort of adage at this point that we just beat ourselves. Let us beat ourselves. And that's exactly what we did. Put a little bit of pressure on us. Everyone's heads just explode. And then suddenly you could be crap for 45, you could be crap for 90 minutes. And we'll just make some heinous mistake or a few of them. And then there you go. You can win the game. Go for it.
I think it does bear talking about this VAR stuff, though, doesn't it? Because I don't know about you, but I have noticed a huge drop-off on the clear and obvious verbiage going around.
Yeah.
It cannot be coincidental, because when it came in, it sounded excellent, right? It sounded, and I was talking to one of my friends over here who's a United fan, and he said during the game that he figured that it would be like NFL reviews. And that's how I thought it would be too. That if the video evidence is conclusive that it needs to be changed, whatever the decision is on the field, then we can go ahead and give it. However, if it's not conclusive, then you go with the call on the field as stands, right? Like you don't have to have all this dicking around and conversations and looking at screens. Is there enough in there that you think it should be overturned? And if not, just keep it as the call on the field. If he'd given that as a straight red prior to giving it as the yellow, there's probably not enough to overturn the red either, because the argument would have been made that Webster maybe won't get in there. The yellow card given, the argument is maybe Webster could get there. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And my interpretation of how clear and obvious was going to be implemented 2 years ago is quite clearly not what they're going for here. It's far more subjective, and it's far more prone to pressure from outside. Do you get what I mean? Like fans and all this shit going on and how people are seeing it and all that stuff. It seems to be much more on a whim than it is straightforward. Can it be overturned or not, or back the man on the field?
Yeah. I think that, Paul, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to
no, go ahead.
You're right, Josh, in the sense that I don't care about how what we've talked about today. Don't make us that challenge. He deserves to get what he got. But at the same time, I don't think he gets that change in the red card in every other game if you play that over and over again, which, to your point, brings it back to, well, how are each of these different referees and assistant referees interpreting that rule each time? Because I'm not saying it's because United are a big club, or if we'd got the same situation against a Watford or whatever it is. I just don't think you see that 10 times out of 10. I think it's a 50-50. They'll give that.
Yeah, I think that the big thing between VAR and how it replay or challenges or whatever it is instituted in different sports is, for American sports, for example, it's more of a, did the referees on the field get it right? And with VAR, it seems like we're just going to replay the play and we're just going to referee it and re-referee it, and whatever the result is that we come to is the result that's going to be given. So it's not a check on the referees, it's just re-refereeing the entire game when VAR comes in. And it seems like, and I don't know, maybe there have been opportunities where it's gone the other way, but I can't think of any. Whenever the referee goes over to the video board, it's automatically, it's going to go every single time. It's going to go the other way. So I don't really know what the point of that is, other than just for show. And it seems like in MLS, I think it's a little bit better, or, other leagues, I'm sure it's a little bit better. But with the Premier League, it just seems like, they're just completely re-refereeing the game when VAR gets in.
It's a lot better, actually. I've seen quite a few highlights. Well, I say quite a few, dozens of them, where they go to the screen and stay with their decision they made on the field.
Can happen?
Across all sorts of leagues, across all sorts of them. It's only the Premier League, like you say, it's theatre at this point. As soon as they go to that screen, there has never been one where the referee has backed himself. And if the ref can't back himself in the situations like that, do you know what I mean? Like, what is that all about? And then Alex in the chat again, he says, then you have Maguire steamrolling Broha in the penalty area on Saturday, and nothing is given. Again, it's another one of those total inconsistencies. I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. If you're going to continue with VAR, for me, you need to get rid of referees being the ones in the booth. You need to have people that aren't refs sitting in there. Because otherwise it's just the old boys club backing each other and pissing around together. You need a total independent body, I think, if you're going to be doing that. And Paul, I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but it feels like when they go up to New York in the NFL, I don't think they are people who are also on-field referees, are they?
I don't believe so. I think it's probably people who work in, I guess, that the official referee's office, but I don't think it's actually on-field referees. But I think that, and that's another point, is with the NFL, they have to explain how they came to the decision they came to on the field to everybody. And with the Premier League, nothing. They can just, point and say whatever, and nobody knows what the explanation is until maybe after the match, if ever. I know in some other leagues, like the Eredivisie, I know they kind of at least show the VAR in progress. So they like show the booth where the VAR is making the decision. It seems like at least there's some effort to be transparent about what's happening. You can't really hear what the conversation is, but at least you know that something's happening. But with the Premier League, it's just kind of a crapshoot. It's like, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I just have a bunch of chimps in a room with buttons, and they just decide it.
Just flip a coin.
Yeah, it's just see what happens.
The new chimp order is taking over. So we had Lewis Dunk sent off. From then on, it was a bit of a shit show. Tariq Lamptey and Alzate come on and the hour mark almost pretty much immediately, given the fallout took forever for the actual thing to be done. So it's about 1.5 in-game minutes before that substitution takes place. And less than 10 minutes later, Danny Welbeck is on for Maupay as well. Good subs for me. Some of our more valuable players off, rested as they need to be for a game that matters a lot more at the weekend. And by matters a lot more, I'm not going to pretend that we think we're in relegation trouble. I don't think we're even remotely close to that. But Burnley is a game we can and should be winning if we want to continue to get that best ever finish that we've had, as opposed to away at Old Trafford. So get your Maupays off, get your Trossards off, even though he was poor today. He's obviously not always that bad, and protect those players.
I don't think it was that, Josh. That I get what you're saying, but I don't think that was the primary purpose of that, right?
Me either. Actually,
right.
I agree with you, but I was just happy to see those names off for that reason too.
Yeah, I was certainly happy to see Trossard go off, but you take Gross off because he can't chase 10 against 11 with his legs, and I think you bring Welbeck on because he knows better than Maupay as to how to lead a line as in a 10-man formation, but then he squanders your only chance that you have, which is just slight downside. He had what little moment of retribution he could have had there against his old team, but no. Great ball by Lamptey, by the way.
The only thing you would say, though, is that Maupay isn't scoring that either, right? Because he's just not big enough to be the man on the end of that header. So
no. Again, we go back to who does score these guys. Moda might have hit the post.
Dennis Undav, maybe?
Yeah, Undav might have scored it. Yeah. But one of the things that was interesting in the latter part of the second half, once those subs were all said and done, because I think I liked the subs because you injected some level of pace and the ability to actually counter-attack, right? And condense a little bit more and track players when you're a man down. I want to talk a little bit about Sanchez, though, because I thought in the first half he was impressive. And he made some stunning saves in the second half too. But his distribution in the first half was really, really good. There was actually one ball that went out to Trossard. He really could have done a bit better with that. But then he had his classic one per game howler moment too, where he just gave the ball to Ronaldo, didn't he? I think, he cuts it across to Bruno Fernandes, and then Sanchez is like, "Oh, I'll save this one. I'll look good. I'll redeem myself a little bit." But I'm getting I get more. The more relaxed Sanchez is, the more nervous I get. He's so relaxed on the ball. Even in the first half, when he's at some of the distribution, that great ball that went out to Trossard was really close to being blocked by the forward at the time. Like, it was a millisecond away from that just being a horrible little goal. But I feel like
we're probably 2 games away from him either scoring a goal from all the way back at the goal line, or him letting the ball roll in on a back pass.
Yeah,
it's one or the other. I can't tell which.
Yeah,
you're not wrong. Some of his passes today, though, and even the commentator pointed it out, were outrageous. If Trossard had a better first touch, which he usually does, there was 2 chances, there was 2 passes there that could have changed the game entirely before we went down to 10 men. He continues to be the giveth and taketh away goalkeeper. You never know what you're going to get. because I thought he pulled off some great saves today as well. The corner, I think it may have been as well, or whatever.
Kept us in the game.
Mhm.
Yep, I thought it was very good. One more thing on red cards. Paul, your take on this. Luke Shaw, should he have been on the pitch at the end of the game? Not for me.
Probably not, but it's Man United, so what do you expect?
That's a great point. Yeah, that's all you need to say about that, I think.
Yeah, it was quite astounded. And I'm also shocked that it took Scott McTominay 24 minutes of kicking people to get a yellow card. It really did get quite ridiculous there, I thought, in that last 20 minutes. Just cynical foul after cynical foul, and there was 2 bookings for the entire time. I also tweeted, and it seems that we have found the Paul Pogba solution. He's a problem. He's just not able to perform. He wasn't even able to play today. Fred and McTominay are keeping him off the starting 11. But get him on the field for 15 minutes to go. We're down to 10 men, and Paul Pogba looks like a very good player. What's going on there? He is just not at it, is he? He's got something just not right with him at all, and hasn't had it since he came back.
Think about his next move, isn't it? I think he doesn't fit into Ranić's system where you have to be organised. And you saw what Ranić's system is in the first half: bore your opponent to tears, and sit back in a strong formation where no one steps out of line, and you sit. And Pogba is sort of the antithesis of that. He wants to go and run about and put crazy Hollywood passes right out to the wings. He just doesn't fit in. But yeah, it's. I guess in some ways, though, I like what you were saying, but also Pogba was sort of one of the last people you want to come on when you're sat deep, and you bring on who's still one of the best like through ball passers in football onto the pit. And you saw that he did that and opened up the defense. I think Webster was he pulled out that amazing sliding tackle interception. I think was from a Pogba ball. I do want to quickly bring up Potter's come out and said a couple of things from specifically about the dunk sending off. He said it was a yellow to start with. When I looked at it back, it does not look a clear and obvious error. Adam Webster is on the cover and the ref gave a yellow card live. I could have taken it if it was a red card. I don't understand why the VAR is getting involved. So
quite rare though, isn't it, to hear Graham speak out in that way? He really just says we take it and we learn from it. It's quite rare to see him come out and, well, in Potter levels, absolutely scathing.
Furious. Yeah. Hair dryer treatment. But I think that sums up though, that if we could get those 90 seconds back, right, or if you don't just get that yellow card, I'm not saying we win that game, but you fancy us for a point, don't you, after that first half, and you get rid of some of the mistakes early on. You make those substitutions when you're not on the complete back foot with a man down. I think you get something out of this game. I really do, because Man United we just gave them the win. I mean, you could see why they've been in such poor form. They're bad. They're a bad football team. We just gave it to them.
Yeah, even with that 1 goal lead, I feel like they still could have been pegged back, but Dunk being sent off, it just completely ended the game for us. And,
yeah, it all kind of fell apart from there. One thing I do, just to get onto the players themselves, Tariq Lamptey obviously had a pretty much an immediate impact. They shit their pants a little bit as soon as Tariq came on. Should have been responsible for getting Luke Shaw sent off, but alas. Pascal Gross today. There was a moment in that first half, I believe it was the first half, where he showed a burst of pace that actually made my jaw hit the floor. I've never seen him beat a man for pace before, but he did it today. Did you see that? I think it was Maguire.
Well, there you go. That's why.
Like, if you're ever in doubt that Pascal Gross is slow, he is not as slow as Harry Maguire, because he genuinely beat him for pace today. And that was just one of those wonderful things that you don't get to see very often. Shooting star-esque that you don't get to see very commonly across the Albion lifetime.
Lamptey and Cucurella are rubbing off on him, I guess.
I want to do one quick thing as well, because Maguire. If there's one player I want to see Gross run against, it's probably Maguire. Potter's been listening to Together BHA live just before he did his press conference. because his other part of his quote was, as soon as the referee goes to the monitor, it seems it's only going to go one way. So it turns out our fan speculation is shared by one of the smartest minds in football. So there you go. You heard it here first.
Yeah. Unsurprising though, really. Like, I mean, it's every week. There's at least one incident of it, like Paul said earlier. Like, you go to the thing and it's done. Johnny Cantor, BBC Sussex Sport, also reporting that Webster hobbled off. Looks like it could be a potential groin issue. So we could be looking like we may well be without Webster and Dunk for Burnley. I'm sure there's a lot of Burn truthers in absolute tears right now.
I've already seen the tweets.
I don't even want to hear them because it's just absurd that people are still so upset by it.
Dank Larmatek's piling on as well. Should have kept Burn.
Don't you start. I'm going to block you. Block them reported. It does present an interesting opportunity, though, doesn't it? Do we think that Shane Duffy probably slots straight back into the side against Burnley? If there's ever a player tailor-made to go head-to-head with Weghorst, it is Shane Duffy, isn't it? It could have been. It could shake the earth. Those two coming together at set pieces.
Just shithousery to the finest degree. Yeah. I mean, I fancy Weghorst for some of those headers, though, unfortunately. This is what worries me about, even if Webster doesn't get injured, right? It is okay for the next game. You're playing potentially Webster Duffy. We've seen that a few times this season where Burn wasn't playing directly at centre-back, or we're playing a 3 at the back, and they looked shaky without the presence of Lewis Dunk's leadership there. That worries me. What worries me even more is if you're playing a Duffy and Veltman centre-back pairing. I know it's against Burnley. I know they're probably the most tepid attack in the entire league. Oh, not even most. I mean, they are. I can't think of anyone who's Norwich, maybe, but Pukki even looks a little bit better. Still, a little bit of a worry. A little worry there for me.
Have you got the chance to see Weghorst yet, Paul?
I have not. No,
It's magical. Think if Burnley had access to like a development tank, like an incubation tank from Jurassic Park, and they could make their prototypical striker that's just the perfect Burnley striker, it is Wout Weghorst.
I can already see it.
He's about 6'8", massive, white, blonde-haired, an Eastern European, German, whatever he is, and just batters people. He's going to be. I really hope that he does go head to head with Duffy this weekend. I think it could just be superb stuff.
I definitely. I'm hoping this game that we just played galvanizes the team and doesn't instead make them look inside and go, oh God, maybe we're a bit shaky. Are we getting nervous because we're too high up the table? Do we belong here? All that kind of stuff. Because as you say, as we talked about before, you have to come out against Burnley and you have to crush them after this game because the players need to be angry. And I have a feeling that Potter's press conference was going on and what he's saying is designed, and I'm sure he's angry himself, but it's designed to get his players angry. So they come out aggressive and they don't come out nervous after what's happened today.
Yeah, you have to take that second half as motivation for what you can do and what we have done poorly is behind us, instead of confirmation as to this is who we are. We're Brighton. We're due a 2-0 loss to Man United. We don't belong up here. We need to take that and make that our motivation to just thrash Burnley.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to finish on the United piece, it's a bit hard to pick one just because of the oddity that was this game today. But man of the match, anyone that stood out to you all today?
Yeah. I thought Cucurella was impressive for a lot of the game. We've talked about how he's just a fantastic footballer. For me, this could well be a very stupid point, but we've seen Cucurella playing centre back. He reminds me, and this is a weird reference, but he reminds me of Edgar Davids a few years back. He intercepts everything, and then he just pounds forward with the ball. And I could see him playing as a central defensive midfielder in front of the back four. I almost feel at times he's a little bit wasted on the wing. I know he gets up so far and puts in good crosses, but having him centrally, he just picks off everything. Like Man United passes were like magnetized to Cucurella's feet. And even when he misplaced a pass, he just dives in and gets the ball back. Outside of that, you got Jakob Moder and then I guess Sanchez for me. They'd be my top three.
Yeah, I think I'd go with Sanchez just for keeping us in the game most of that second half. I mean, we were doing everything we could, even Sanchez included, to make that game even worse for us than it already was. And, he just kept pulling out saves and keeping us at 1-0 for as long as we could.
Yeah. I'm also going to add Veltman to the mix because I thought he was very good today for what he was asked to do at that right back role, especially in that first half. I thought he did a really good job. And I don't think he did a great deal wrong for just about anything. At the other end, when everything went wrong, he was probably one of the few that didn't look calamitous at the back. So he kind of stood out there as well as someone I thought played pretty well with the odd situation we had going on. Onward to Burnley, though. We are still 9th in the table. That was really just one of our games in hand anyway. So, I mean, I said at the weekend, it is almost a free hit in the way that we're not going down. And this is just we've never beat them at Old Trafford. It was one of those ones where we could just go there and do our best. Unfortunately, we beat ourselves. Burnley at the weekend, though, bottom of the league, one win all year, all season. Let's just say that, not year, because they have one win and they have 17 goals scored, only Norwich less. They are still Sean Dyche's side, right? Though Dan Klarmatek in the chat said that Sean Dyche can stretch the pound more than any other manager. He's not been backed in the market for years now, it feels like, until they bought Cornet and now Weghorst, and even that was for like a third of the price that Chris Wood went for. I don't know where the rest of that money disappeared to. But he's continuing to keep them pretty decent in terms of the goals against compared to most, right? There's about 8 or 9 teams worse off than them. Arsenal have, Manchester United conceded more than them. Most of the teams down there have conceded a lot more than them. Leicester, Southampton, Villa, Palace, most of the mid-table have conceded goals. Feels a bit like a 0-0 all over it, doesn't it? When you remember how that first game went at the very beginning of the year. What do you think we need to do to put 1, 2, 3 past Burnley this weekend?
Everything that we didn't do today, as in, I would love it if 4 to 5 of our best players didn't offer the ball up to Man United's forwards over and over again. I think that's what you need to do to beat Burnley. Moder has to get a goal for me at some point. You mentioned this earlier. He has to score, and why not this game? But and I know Burnley haven't been as bad as maybe they look like in the table, as you said. But they've scored 4 goals since November. It's February the 15th. I know they've had a lot of games postponed, but they're not a free scoring football team, and we know they never have been. So maybe 1 goal wins this, but go get the goal. We have to be aggressive. We have to go out and really take this game by the scruff of the neck and don't get Mope angry. He's going to get angry with how Burnley play. You know he's going to be furious, like immediately, minute 2.
He's probably already angry about the fact that Tarko ran him over last time.
Yeah. I agree with you, Adam. I think we have to be patient. Obviously, we have to take our chances, but we can't just sit around and wait for them to come to us. We have to go out and take it. And, obviously, we have to make those chances go into the net. And that's something that we've struggled to do before. But this is as good a time as any to put a few balls in the box and just try to score. Because, we do a lot of passing around the box, trying to create chances, kind of walk it into the net. We just need to go out there and take the goals that we deserve to get.
And if you notice, like even today, and this for me goes back to this the difference that we have between when we play 4 at the back and when we play the 5 at the back system, which is we end up being a lot quicker with our interplay and our movement and the passing and the creation of chances, typically when we're playing with 4. When we play with the 5, we wait for the overlaps of the wing backs. The ball comes back centrally, the ball goes back out wide, and we wait for those runners and we get the ball in and work the play into the box, if you want to think about it like that. If you notice today, a couple of our best opportunities, the best chances that we had. So I'm referencing when Modi got fed that through ball that was the product of a sort of a nice little 1-2 bit of link up play where he hit it at the keeper. I'm thinking the first time Veltman cross, Lamptey crossing the ball into Welbeck. All of these chances happened like that. They were really quick passages of play. I want to see more of that against Burnley because it works much better for me than when we try and slow play, because Burnley want us to slow play. They want the ball to go out wide and for us to cross it in for what? Mopé to try and win a header against Tarkowski and Ben Mee? No.
The one thing I would say about Burnley is that they're the one team lately that, because I agree with you in that that's exactly how they would want us to play. They're happy with us having 80% of the ball all game. They don't care. It's funny though, isn't it? Because and this is probably exactly why they are where they are, because you look at them and you go, but they can't hit us on a counter. There's nothing there. They don't have those players en masse that can just blast you. You've got Cornet, right? That's it. That's literally it. And you've got to hope players can keep up with him to be able to do that, because not many can. And you've got to think that Lamptey starts at the weekend, because he didn't today. So you're going to have Lamptey on Cornet almost definitely, because Cornet generally plays on that left-hand side, which would be going head-to-head with Terry. So you're almost at a stage where Lamptey and Maxwell are going to cut each other out, potentially. And you've got what could possibly be one of the most boring games of football that could be on offer, of a team just dominating the ball and with little to no end product.
But you're forgetting, you're really doing a disservice to 34-year-old Aaron Lennon, who's still got a turn of pace in him. Yeah, it has the, and this is why it's so important that I've got a feeling that Potter probably says something along the lines of get a goal within the first 5 minutes. And of course, it's easy to say these things, right? But it allows you then to get Burnley to come out of their comfort zone and not just sit back and just try and counter you with their one outlet in Cornet. They have to push on, but they're going to, and I don't even know. I know Weghorst went off injured in their last game. Is he even going to be fit? Because if he isn't, we might be facing the old boy. Ashley Barnes might be starting.
Yep. I mean, they're 7 points off of safety as it stands. And we are, we're over halfway into the season now. Teams around them are picking up points. Norwich look better than they have done all year, which is not saying much, but it is true. Newcastle were picking up points. Their star man, their talisman that they signed at the beginning of the year has already got himself injured. Trippier looks like he's probably out for a few months at least. He broke his foot.
He broke it, didn't he? He looked, I know it's a bit of a shame for them. I know we're not pitying them, but he looked really good his last few games as well.
It's a shame for him more than anyone, because for his World Cup hopes, I'm sure he was hoping to come back and make a massive stamp of authority on the English game, and he had started bloody brilliantly. As an England fan, I'm gutted. As a not a Newcastle fan, it's hilarious. At the expense of them. Only Brighton have had more draws than Burnley. It's got to be, hasn't it? I'm going 0-0 all day. It's going to end 0-0.
It's going to be a 5-4 thriller.
I'm going to go 1-0 Brighton. I think that we're just going to nick a goal. I don't know how, I don't know where, but I just have a feeling Burnley don't really have enough to get a goal against us, and we're just going to score a goal at some point. I hope we score a goal. I'm not going to guarantee it, because knowing us, that's not a guarantee. But Yeah, 1-0.
My serious answer is I could see this being a little bit more of less of a turgid affair, perhaps, as maybe otherwise predicted. Because as you say, Josh, they know that they've got to get points. Their last few games may be a little bit deceiving to the eye, right? They've played Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal, Man United, like that. They've had quote unquote tough games where they have to look a little bit more rigid and play for a 1-0 victory, let's say. They might choose to come out against us with a little bit more fire in their belly, and maybe this becomes a game where there's a couple of goals apiece in it. But we'll see. I mean, we played them. It was a relatively kind of interesting game. They were our first game of the season, right? If you remember, 2-1.
Yeah, good comeback as well. And it was something we talked about at the time on the podcast, that it looked like the Albion were showing that growth that they from last season to next, grounding out those tough games, those tough results. Anything else to add before we wrap the podcast?
Right. Let's just chalk this game up to like a Spurs-esque game. Like we'll give us this one. Like we're still, as you said earlier, we're top 10 in the Premier League. We can have a couple of these games every now and then where everything looks like it's disaster. Let's go out and beat Burnley, and we'll pretend this never happened.
Still only our 5th loss in the Premier League too. So
yeah.
I saw a good little tweet just a second ago as well. When Man United won the treble, we finished in 17th in the 4th tier, the old school, old money Division 3, having finished 23rd the 2 previous seasons. Didn't have our own ground and played home matches 70 miles away at Gillingham. So I suppose if we have to feel hard done by getting beaten by Manchester United at Old Trafford 20 years later, we'll take it. All right, cool. Well, have a wonderful rest of your week, everybody. I think Craig is back. Who knows? I'm not sure when his parents go home, so we'll have to tune in and ask him whether he's going to be available or not.
The curse is broken anyway, so we lost when he's not been here, so he can come back now.
Yeah, we need him back. 3 o'clock kickoff for those in the UK. Big up for that. Amex and 3 o'clock. I'm sure you're all very excited, as you don't get enough of those anymore. And for us, it's a nice and easy 10 o'clock kickoff in the morning, so you've got the rest of the day to be happy or very pissed off. So have a wonderful rest of your week, everybody. Be safe and have a good one.
Cheers all. Thanks for joining us, Paul.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.